Hello and welcome to this edition of Market Head Start. My name is Shita Janand and today we'll look at all the factors as well as stocks which will move markets on Thursday, that is 5th of December. Well, before we go ahead and talk about what's going to happen today, let's also recap what happened in Wednesday's trading session. Well, if you look at the Indian market, it started on a muted note, largely on signs that both US and China, or the trade deal between the US and China, might defer till 2020. But in the second half of the trading session, initial media reports suggested that both US and China are actually nearing the first phase of the deal, and that really pushed markets into a different trajectory. In fact, we saw a rally not just in Indian markets but across the globe, and that helped Nifty 50 reclaim its 12,000 level as well. In fact, Nifty 50 closed above, not just above its 12,000 mark, but also above its 5 days exponential moving average. So definitely that is a positive sign for Indian markets. Now, apart from that, if we look at what really happened in the currency market, rupee appreciated slightly against the US dollar, around about 13 paisa. If you look at the crude oil prices, now it has actually inched up slightly to around about $63 a barrel. Now remember, it was trading around about $61 a barrel just 2 days back. So definitely crude oil prices has inched up slightly, and that might act as a headwind for Indian markets. But another headwind for Indian market is the consistent or the persistent selling by foreign institutional investors. In fact, they were net sellers again in Indian markets for more than 700 odd crores. So definitely that is something which will act as a possible headwind for Indian markets. In fact, they've been net sellers not just yesterday but throughout in the month of December. Now remember, for the month of November, they were net buyers in Indian markets for more than 23,000 odd crores. So definitely that one is definitely positive. But what we have to understand for today's trading session, much of the volatility will be caused by the RBI monetary policy or the outcome of the monetary policy committee. Now, most experts feel that there is a higher possibility that MPC might just slash rates by 25 basis points, but which is something which is already baked into the prices at this point in time. So probably a rate cut which is more than that, or a change in policy stance could actually result in a knee-jerk reaction. In case RBI deviates from the policy stance, from accommodative to something else, or to a more hawkish stance, then definitely there could be a knee-jerk reaction. But in case RBI slashes interest rates by more than 25 basis points, then yes, there could be a possibility of a further rally into Indian markets. Now remember, the growth rate or the India GDP growth rate slipped to around about 6-year low at 4.5%. So definitely that is something which will be on RBI mind at this point in time, how it can really revive the economy, how it can really push the investment cycle higher. Now let's also look at stocks which will be in focus based on the news flow. Well, the first stock that we have on the list is SBI. Now, the country's largest lender has decided to sell its 8.25% stake in UTI AMC through an initial public offering. Apart from that, Bharti Airtel will be in focus. Now, the board of Bharti Airtel on December 4th approved a plan to raise up to $3 billion via debt and equity route, and Ashok Leyland will be in focus. Now, the company said that it wants to observe around working days in a few plants in December to align production at its facilities in line with market demand. So definitely we could see some bit of negative reaction in Ashok Leyland. Apart from that, well, to make your day more profitable, we also spoke to Bonanza Portfolio. They've given us 3 recommendations for today. The first stock that we have on the list is Century Textile. Now, that's a buy for a target of 515.50 and a stop loss of 449. Reliance Industries, now that's a sell for a target of 1,460 and a stop loss of 1,615. Delta Corp, well, that's a buy for a target of 241 and a stop loss of 200. Now remember, the return potential is close to 6 to 12% on all the 3 stocks. Well, these are not intraday trading ideas, but more of a positional play. So in case you initiate any positions based on these recommendations, well, do consult your financial advisor. Well, thanks a lot for tuning into this edition of Market Head Start, but do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com for more on news, business and economy.